What's going on, guys? Episode 10. Here we are.
I know.
Holy shit.
2.5 months.
Yeah.
10 episodes.
That is crazy. Wow, man. That's 10's kind of a big number. Like, we are officially double-digit hombres when it comes to our podcast.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. Forgot about that.
Man. Anyways, guys, welcome back. Episode 10. We're excited to have you. So this week we're going to talk about some stuff with our guest, Rob Lestrick. We're going to have him on talking about Soul Apparel and his journey through that. That'll be exciting here. And then we talk about our word of the week.
Yeah.
Not going to give that up yet. You're going to have to listen to find out. But word of the week will come up. And then we jump into our topic. Why is it named Big Steaks and Protein Shakes?
Yeah. I can't believe it's been like 10 weeks. And I mean, we know what it means, but I guess we kind of space like, oh, maybe people don't get it, like.
Yeah, but there was always that allure, like, I mean, now people are like wondering why, because if they've listened to, 10 episodes, I mean, why the hell Big Steaks? They haven't talked about gambling once, but we'll get into that. And then, of course, we got Angel's Angles.
Yes.
And our listener Q&A. And we appreciate you guys' questions. Keep them coming. You might see our Facebook post. We might just send you a text or a message or a DM, whatever it may be. If you have questions for us, pretty much like we said, unless it's politics, we talk about anything. So, yeah. All right, man. So we actually got Rob in our green room here waiting to come on. So let's get him on board.
Sweet. Yeah. We'll get him in here.
All right. All right, guys. Let's welcome Rob Lestrick to the show.
All right, guys. So we're here with our special guest today, my buddy Rob Lestrick. I met him up in Minnesota when I was playing college football up there. Tell us about yourself, man. Where are you from? Who are you?
My name is Rob Lestrick. Yeah, I know you remember that from my IOC class. But I'm from the west side of New Orleans, Louisiana. Born and raised there. Currently still at Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota. And yeah.
Yeah, man, from Louisiana to Minnesota. That's a difference in temperature, a difference in geography. Shit.
I ask myself that every day while I'm up here.
Especially in the winter, huh?
What? And this winter was
still
kind of
cold
terrible.
up there right now?
It was just snowing earlier.
Oh.
Like a lot of practices and stuff was canceled because of a blizzard just happened, bro. And I'm
Bro,
like,
we
wow.
will totally trade you. We got 93 degrees, and it's not.
That is
it's not something
insane.
to get any prettier.
Yeah,
That's what I want,
that is
though.
Not
Literally.
me, man. I want the cold. All right. So the first question I got for you is, tell us about the brand you started, man. If there's any issues with it starting up, like your biggest challenges, anything you faced doing that, as well as like any positives that you saw. Yeah, answer that one, and then there's kind of a half question after that.
So I kind of created Soul Apparel just to bring like your own individuality to like, garments and like clothes and stuff, because it's a common thing, man, that like people always say like, oh, I don't care what I wear, I just throw it whatever. But I'm like, that's kind of false in a sense, because of the fact that like for instance, on your birthday maybe you're gonna wear like lighter, vibrant colors because you want to be seen more, as to where like if you have like a 8 a.m. meeting or 8 a.m. class, you're probably just gonna throw on like some black sweats because you don't want to be seen. But subconsciously, it's like we do kind of care about that, and this is why wouldn't you care about what you have on? So that's kind of like why I made my brand for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like that's like the first. I mean, like I know people say appearances and everything, but like that's everybody's first opinion of you. Is like what you're wearing and like how you look.
For sure.
So like if you carry yourself well, then yeah.
For sure.
That's pretty cool, because there's like a psychology factor to that of like the mentality behind what you wear. I dig.
Literally.
Oh yeah.
My biggest difficulty, honestly, was like naming the brand. Like I have to say this, but I was gonna name my brand Rage Apparel, just so everybody could just walk around with like R's on each chest or something like that. But I realized, like, thank God I ran into like some copyright issues and stuff. But so it just took a lot of like I ain't gonna lie, I prayed a lot on it, man. I talked to God a lot about it, and it just like hit me. And then coincidentally, I just looked at my wall, and on my wall, I have it's a picture of my grandmother and like the Kids See Ghost album. I don't know if you know that album, that Kanye West album,
Mm-hmm.
and it has like a little ghosty figure on it. So it's like I kind of wanted to like implement those two things. Like my grandma was a very soulful person, and the cloud kind of represents of my brand. It's just her always watching over me, her always like being with me wherever I go. So that's like kind of like the meaning behind it.
I love that, dude.
For sure.
I was gonna ask you about it, but then we talked about getting you on the podcast, so I figured it'd be a good time to ask you about it.
Right, yeah, for sure.
That's awesome.
A lot of people don't even know that.
That's awesome. Well, now they will, man.
For
They'll
sure.
come listen to the podcast and they'll figure it out. Do you have any advice for anybody looking to do something similar? Like if they want to start up a clothing brand or like anything really of the sorts, like do something that kind of represents them, anything of like their opinions or anything?
I would just say, man, to just like jump out there. That's literally like the first step, is just like letting people know what you have. I'm talking to a lot of people that's kind of like trying to start their clothing brand, and the only thing that's stopping them is literally putting their stuff out there. Just like letting people know, like, hey, I got a clothing brand. This is what I want it to look like. And they're just so scared that like to say, what if people don't like it? But honestly, you got to think, man, there's some people in this world that don't like Nike. There's some people in this world that don't like Apple. And those are very like lucrative brands. Those are big brands. So it's just like, don't worry about the people that's not going to like your clothes. There's always one people that's going to dislike something. So just make it for the people who support you.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't like Nike clothes really, but they just don't fit me right.
I'm more of an Under Armour guy.
Yeah.
Really Project Rock though. I don't really like it.
I'm gonna have to start making like some gym clothes or something like that. Tap into that world.
Dude, if you get that,
man.
I'll rock your stuff, man. I'll be a sponsor.
Well, shit. The way that I think of it is anything can be like a gym shirt. Anything can be a gym shirt. You just cut the sleeves off and boom.
Right. Literally. That's all Angel used to do back at Concordia. Just cut the sleeves off his shirts. They just like.
Man.
Those you should have seen him in high school. Every shirt he had had no.
Dude, we got the same brand of shirts that Concordia would give us. We got them in high school. I'm like, man, this stuff is cheap, man. I just
Oh. Everyone was doing that.
Cool, man. So the next question I got for you is, what or who is the biggest influence in your life?
I would say I'm a very family oriented person. I think I honestly believe that if I had like nothing at all, I knew for a fact that I can lean on my family. But out of that, I would say my grandmother, honestly, she passed away in like 2020. And so just seeing how hard she worked to keep my family together and provide for us, just like the way how she fought to like her last breath just kind of like fueled me in a sense to just like never take anything for granted, no matter what I do. And anything less than like 100% in whatever I do would just be like a disservice to her. So everything I do to this day is like for her.
Yeah, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny. I can connect with that. So my grandmother, I was a black sheep in my family, right? And I had a grandmother who's very traditional Mexican from Mexico. But no matter what I did, no matter what I screwed up, she would always believe in me, tell me that, I can do anything. When we used to be kids, when we went down to Mexico to visit my dad, we would spend pretty much the whole summer at her house and then 2 weeks go with my dad to like Disneyland or whatever. But even though I could barely communicate with her, there was this connection there. And then when she passed away, like it just, everything you do when you have somebody like that, it goes back to them and you're like, I don't want to let them down.
Right.
So that's awesome.
All right. So third question, what are the most crucial steps in your opinion that have made you who you are today?
I would say the relations and relationships that I've made with people throughout the course of my life. there's a lot of people in my life that like helped me, gave me advice, and kind of like got me to where I am today. But also there are some people who taught me some valuable lessons in my life that kind of played like a major role in the steps that made me who I am today. So I would just say like just the relationships that I have with like people, that's important.
We kind of touched on that in one of our previous episodes. Like, don't take for granted those little tiny like conversations you could have with
For
people because they
sure,
might change
yeah.
your life.
And then another
Yeah.
thing, like you never know like who you might need someday. Literally.
Exactly.
hmm
Got to keep. I mean, I always say like keep your circle tight or keep your circle small but tight.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just what I believe in. Obviously, like I have a lot of people I can count on, but I know a lot of people that I wouldn't necessarily put all my trust in, you know. But they definitely teach you some valuable lessons, even
Good
if you don't
and
trust them
bad
completely. You know
lessons,
what
for
I
sure.
mean? Yeah. All right, bro. So I got one more question for you. What part of your life have you experienced the most growth?
Um, Honestly, I think I would just say like finding who I am, or like I wouldn't say like when I was younger I was like kind of lost. Like not saying I did not know like what I wanted to do, but I think now I'm starting to like figure out things, man. I'm starting to find out some things that I really like. Like I just found out I really love sewing. Like that's crazy. Like I would have thought like me would never thought like I'm in here like sewing patches on shirts, sewing hats together. And I'm just like I don't know. I would just say like finding myself, bro. Like I said, like I've never been really this confident with like nothing I had going on in my life until like now, and I'm just kind of like figuring things out and stuff. So
Heck yeah, dude. I think that I've kind of gone through like similar things recently. Is like once you realize like what you want to do, it makes like life a lot better. Like just overall,
right.
like I wasn't lost like really either. I get what you're saying though. Like I jumped through a bunch of different things. Like I went up to school with you guys. I was doing engineering classes. I came home, you know, I worked a couple of jobs. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was starting to get my real estate license, which I'll probably still do, but like now like I'm doing my personal training stuff and like I'm coaching and like that's just like that's where my passion
Right.
lies. So like once you find like where your passion lies, like everything kind of
Yeah,
falls into
and just
par.
go, just straight shot. You'll know for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll know for sure when you find it,
Yep.
because it's just like it's just unexplainable why you just want to do it. So
Yeah, right.
it's just a straight shot.
All that little nitty gritty work that like
It's crazy.
most people don't want to do. You're like, I'm loving this shit. Yeah.
Right, like it's crazy, man. I'm in here like literally. And then I just made this hat. It's kind of crazy. Like I was just playing around, and I put all these patches on this hat, and I was just like just playing around, and I posted it, and I was like, you know, who wants this hat? Like just playing around, and like 30 people slid up, was like, bro, give me this hat.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, like I just made this in like 5 minutes, bro. This is like crazy. So I ended up doing like a little just a random drop for the hat, and luckily my cousin had won the hat. So
Sweet.
it's crazy how like
You know, it's funny, like, because you guys are about the same age, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think the biggest thing I do is I miss being your guys' age simply because that's where you start to figure out what the hell your path is, and not always for certain, but I definitely think that in terms of, you know, the path you're picking, the path that you start on, it starts about your guys' age. And I mean, I zigzagged everywhere. Like I ended up in real estate long term, but it's crazy because of the fact that, you know, once you, like you said, once you find it, you find it. And I thought I found it a couple times, but then I found it like, you wane off from it. And you're like, all right, maybe this isn't it. But like real estate, I will say this, other than figuring out what your time is worth, which is a big thing. Like I love everything I do, even to writing contracts because it's exciting. And that's the stupidest shit to me because it's like you should not be excited about writing a contract, but yet there I am. So I totally get it.
Sweet, dude.
Yeah, it's just like it's like a lot of people just venture off in like different ways and stuff like that. Like a lot of people don't notice about. I love like programming and like coding games and stuff like that. Like a lot of people don't like doing those kind of things. Like instead of me going outside, I'll literally be inside just like making a game or something like that. Just I don't know. I'm a geek.
See, but that's the funny thing. Is that, man, that was one of my
I'm one of
paths.
those people. I'm a geek.
That was one of my paths too. I learned like Swift coding and all that for like Apple and all that, and then afterwards,
Right.
I finally got it down, and then I'm like, no, this isn't my path.
Right.
Is that what you majored
That's
in,
funny.
right?
Yeah, computer science.
Sweet.
A lot of people don't know that either.
I remember
Mhm.
that from where you're going. I didn't know if you changed it up though, because I know a lot of people change their majors up.
Nah. But see, that's like the common thing though to do. Is just like when you're a freshman in college, man. It's just like you remember our freshman year. It was just like, whew, like it's just I don't know. We were just so happy to just be like just free in a sense, and we're all kind of like just lost in a sense,
Yeah,
like too. But
it was like our first time
it's
really
like
away from our
once you start
parents.
figuring out,
Like
yeah,
on our
like
own.
on our own,
Especially like guys like you and I.
Right.
Like we're so far away from home. Like the first few months it's like a vacay,
It's
and then
crazy,
real life starts happening up there, and you're like,
right?
what the hell? Yeah.
Right. You know what's crazy though? Another thing I just remember, man, in our IOC class, I gave a speech literally on like, everything I told you about, like bring your own individuality into garments. And like y'all laughed at me, bro. Like y'all, everyone clowned me in that class. I'm like, I was serious. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make a clothing brand one day and show y'all what I meant.
Damn, I don't remember that, dude.
I remember that.
I wouldn't have laughed
I
at you.
swear I remember like it. What?
Well,
Man,
hey,
everyone was just like, I forgot even our professor. She was like, "What?
oh,
There's no
Emily?
way this dude's gonna do
Oh
fashion."
yeah, I remember
Yeah, I
now.
do remember
Okay, I
Emily.
remember. Oh man.
For real, it was funny. It was really funny.
Yeah, but you know what? You're always going to remember that, and that's going to be a driver.
Yeah, for sure. Like, cause she kind of like looked at me, and was just like, "Oh, his pants is always too tight, and what is he doing wearing holes in his jeans?" I'm just like, man, I'm just wearing what I want to wear. But she was just like when I gave that speech about like fashion and what I want to do and how much fashion meant to me, she would just like laugh. Like everyone would just like laughing at me.
Oh
I
man,
do remember that.
that'll drive you though.
Mhm. For sure. Oh, aren't you a 49ers fan?
Yes,
Hell
sir.
yeah.
Oh man, what are y'all gonna do, man? What are y'all gonna do?
Hopefully,
Y'all gonna
right now it's a
deal
shit
Garoppolo
show.
out?
Because Garoppolo's still in. They didn't trade him off, which I'm okay with.
Right.
But at the same time, I can say that the bigger story, I guess, would be, and we weren't even really touch on NFL, so this will work really well for us. Debo Samuel deleted all his 49er
Just got
stuff.
paid.
No, they haven't given him a contract extension, so all
thought
of his
they paid him.
49er like pictures and his like profile picture on Instagram and all his socials, no more 49er stuff. So he's pulling like a Kyler Murray and like being like, all right, cool. Like, yeah, I'm just worried he's going to hold out at this point because I'm
Wow.
like, I mean, the man deserves to be paid, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
you have to pay him, and then his contract, he's gonna want a lot too.
Oh, he probably wants
Seeing
to.
like guys, a lot
He wants to be the highest paid.
a lot of people don't like
non-QB.
realize how like
We keep
yeah.
interjecting each other.
I seen that. Like what? But then like a lot of receivers, they kind of like messed the market up. Like Christian Kirk just signed like a big deal, and all these just like non-top guys are signing like big deals. So it's just like the top receivers see that and just be like, well, I need to get paid more than that because I'm doing more. But he deserves to get paid though for sure. But
Well, I mean, if you're using him as a,
I think it's time to y'all let Trey Lance.
well, see the Trey Lance thing, I'm totally for him, but if he's not ready, I'm like, let him sit. It's okay. Like I mean, it's not. I'm not in a rush to like get Trey Lance, which is he was at North Dakota State, did phenomenal there, but had a short season. Like he doesn't have much experience. NFL is a different speed. He did well the 2 games that he played for us, but it's one of those things where if we have Jimmy Garoppolo, like for example, most people don't know that the what was the stat? Joe Burrow was number 1 and Jimmy Garoppolo was number 2, like average yards like he's not a bad quarterback. He's a game manager. He's not like a superstar. He's not going to be.
They want Patrick Mahomes, right?
He's not going to be that kind of guy. But at the same time, if you have Debo Samuel, you have Kittle, you have all those guys, you don't need a Mahomes, So we will see what happens. What about you? What's your team?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of y'all defense as well. I'm a Saints fan.
I would have figured that one. I don't think I've ever met somebody from Louisiana that isn't a Saints fan. So who you guys got at QB
have
now?
We still got Winston.
That's right.
We just signed him back. He's recovering back from his ACL injury. We're looking to sign Tyrann Mathieu, honestly, to add to our defense. We just lost Marcus Williams.
Mm-hmm.
He just went to the Ravens. So it's like we're just looking to kind of like better our DB core in a sense.
Yeah. Well,
so yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens, man. There's for example, one of the things that we've touched on previous episodes is that there's quarterbacks out there that should not be starting. And yet you have somebody like Kaepernick who just did he did his whole kind of a pro day at the Michigan spring game and was throwing and scouts were there. And it's like, this man is having to freaking go and go to colleges and do all that jazz. It's like, regardless of where you stand on politics, regardless of where you stand on issues, the fact that he's not playing and there's some other guys that are starting in front of him, I'm like, come on.
Right, yeah, there's not 32 quarterbacks better than him.
Yeah.
No. There's not 32
I
quarterbacks.
agree. It's like, at some point you're just like, okay, you got to let that man play again. But I don't know. Maybe he'll go to the XFL if they pay him enough money. We'll see about that.
Right. The XFL, man. That's going to be a revamping it this next year.
They're revamping it completely. I saw the promo that The Rock put out, and they're going to redo it. So
yeah, I'm honestly glad that that's getting a lot of attention now because a lot of guys we just missing out on because of agent reasons and no exposure. They got a chance. They still got a chance to make it.
Oh yeah,
I'm all for it.
Well, I mean, look at you. You guys went to D3 school, and while there's guys that were really competitive there. I mean, you had the one, Zylstra was his name? Or was that?
Zylstra, Brandon Zylstra.
Yeah.
Zylstra, yeah.
He went and played in the Canadian Football League after Concordia, and then he made it to the NFL.
Yeah, but imagine having another league like the XFL here that, you guys can go from D3 to, instead of going to NFL Europe or the Canadian NFL League, there's a secondary American league here that's not trash. I'm not gonna lie, XFL when it first came out by Vince McMahon, WWE guy, that shit was crazy, bro. That I remember the one player had his jersey said "He hate me." That was his name on the back of his jersey, and that shit was wild. But now it's going to be a little more serious, apparently. So a little more business, a little less, theatrics. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with the Niners, with the fucking Saints, with the XFL.
Rob, did you hear about Hans? I'm assuming you did. He went up to Germany to play football.
No.
Yeah.
I did not hear about that.
Hans Solberg. You know who Hans.
That's crazy.
Yeah, dude, he's over in Europe, in Germany, dude. He's playing football over there.
That's one giant motherfucker.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's a big boy.
I did not know that.
Yeah, dude. I'm pretty sure.
I know he had he graduated in 2019, I think.
Yeah, the last year I was over there was his last year. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. Did you leave our sophomore year?
Yeah.
After our sophomore year? Or you
halfway through? Halfway.
So I did get a chance to play with you.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened and all this, and yeah.
Yeah, that COVID was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, Angel was planning on going to school up in Oregon. He was actually looking at a couple schools up there, transferring over there, and then COVID hit and he got stuck here.
I was set, dude.
He had a roommate lined up.
Accepted. I was supposed to go live with a bunch of 30-year-olds.
Right, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was already accepted to the school.
How do you feel since you because I'm pretty sure you've been playing football since you was 6 years old. So how did that feel for you to not just be playing anymore? Because that football is a lifestyle.
Yeah,
honestly,
it's weird. I definitely miss it. Especially because I only got to play 2 years with you guys, and we all became such good friends and like less than like we all became
Right.
such good friends those first few weeks, you know, like obviously like the bunch of guys left, so like I wasn't the only one that left, but like I don't know, it was just like a weird experience, like having to come home and then like I'm just like boom, I'm working and I'm like, man, like this is that real life shit and it sucks, you know, like I mean I will say my body feels better, you know, my back isn't hurting every morning, but
Right.
like, I would rather play football and deal with the hurt back, you know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about trying. There's a local team here. They're called it's an arena football team. It's called the Sugar Skulls, something like that. I might go play with them. We'll see. They get a few $100 every game if they win, and it's like I don't know. It's like a side job type thing, but it'd be
Why
a lot
not?
of fun, man. Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun.
Right. Right.
What about you, Rob? When did you
Yeah,
did you
I think
play all
it's
4
fun.
years?
Well, I was supposed to play. Oh, yeah, I did play for all 4 years, but we had the COVID, so the COVID had hit, so I only ended up playing 3. But last year I had a pretty good season. Last year, I was mad, man. Like I had got hurt the week of St. John's,
That's a big game
and
for
I
you
missed
guys.
like the second half or the second the last quarter of the season because of I hurt my foot, but. We were just like really young, especially in the secondary. Like we lost a lot of games just because of just like passing reasons. Like we just couldn't defend the pass as well. But I honestly enjoyed my last season, man. I made a lot of plays. It was just fun, just running around until I got hurt. So
That's awesome, man. So then I guess one of the questions that I like to ask is, I was massive guy in high school, 6'1", 315, pretty much all solid muscle. I played DT. I had to hang up my cleats, not knowing that I was hanging up my cleats. So now that you played all 4 years, granted injuries and all that, and COVID happened, how do you feel that are you completely hanging up your cleats? Are you gonna shoot for another level, or?
I think it's time for me to hang the cleats up, man. I kind of like what I got going on with my life, especially with this clothing brand, and I don't have to worry about my knees and taping on my ankles anymore and playing in 5-degree weather. Angel, remember those games, man. I think it's yeah, man. It's just time for me to just wrap it up and just get things started.
That's awesome.
That's how I feel, you know, like I'm gonna miss it, but I'm looking forward more. You know what I mean? Looking forward to the future.
It's gonna end someday. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tell you guys both, and I mean, Angel's already kind of experienced it. The football field has a way of calling you back when you really love the game. So, like, I had been out of football for like almost since I was 17. So, like, well over 15 years, and I got asked to coach football, and all of a sudden it became a thing. This guy over here got asked to coach football, and all of a sudden he's back on the field. So it'll come back to you. If you really loved it, it'll come back, and you'll be like, I can't stay away.
You see how you feel how healthy your body just gets, man. Like just literally just taking a week off just from sports, and you know how spring football and spring workouts get, man. It just feel like my body. I feel well rested, man. I just feel like a new person right now.
Right.
I'm just not playing football right now.
That's exactly how I felt when I stopped. I was like, man, what is this? I feel like 10 years younger.
Right.
You two have no idea what's coming for you, because eventually by the time you hit 28, everything fucking hurts every day, all the time.
It's gonna.
I got some time.
It's all gonna hurt again eventually. But
also, wait, one thing. Shop sold apparel. Big drop next Friday. Oh, I want to tell you, I had a photo shoot with Anna Brackey. You remember her?
Oh yeah.
From my yeah. So she took some incredible. Well, Trevor took some amazing pictures that I'm gonna post maybe Wednesday or sometime. But yeah, big drop next Friday for sure. The 15th.
Okay.
Cool. So this will air on the 10th. So definitely work right in line. So big drop coming from you, and Soul Apparel on April 15th. That's awesome, man.
Heck yeah. Got anything to add?
No, I mean, I guess the only other question that I have, because obviously you guys have, a little bit of history because you guys played ball together, but what's been the best part of your clothing brand and starting it up and like putting your sales out there and putting yourself out there? What's been the best part of it, and what really, like, what's your biggest takeaway from actually launching it and doing it?
hmm I would say, it's kind of funny that like, well, like, me and Angel, us being like former athletes, and how confident, like, that we would have to be going into like those Saturday game days, and what I'm saying, just being overall confident in ourselves and our plays. But honestly, like, I don't think I ever been so confident in something like in my life than what I have in this clothing brand. But leading up to like my first launch, I was like nervous. I was like nervous, just thinking like, man, are people gonna want this? I was just getting so doubtful and stuff like that. But literally like leading up to like, so I launched like, I think it was like March 18th at like 4 p.m. I launched it, and like literally like 20 seconds in, somebody bought a shirt. And I was like, that's crazy. And then I looked, it was like 10 minutes past, like all my shirts were gone. And I was like, that's really crazy that people actually like support me. And you'll be surprised, like I had people buying my shirts in New Mexico, and I'm like, I don't even know no one out there. it was kind of sick though, but I think it was really cool. Like I'm so excited for like the ideas and everything that I can like put together, and I'm drawing a lot of attention for sure from people.
That's awesome, man. Well, with that being said, where, if somebody wants to look at what you put out and any of the drops you're going to do in the future here, where can they reach you? What's your social, all of that? And I'm going to put it back below, but where can they get to you?
So my website is www.soulapparel.love. My social media for it is Soul Apparel 1 on Instagram.
Sweet, man. Well, it was great talking to you. Man, that was crazy. I mean, I haven't talked to him in a while, but I don't know. It was. I didn't realize like how good of friends I was gonna be making until, like when I went up there, but a lot of those guys really made a lasting impact on my life. So
that's awesome, man. I know you guys seem to have a lot of rapport between the two of you. And I think that football does that to people.
Yeah.
I
mean, you naturally build the brotherhood. Like everybody up there. I mean, there was a couple guys that knew of each other, played against each other in high school. But like, especially for guys like him and I, like we came from so far away. We knew absolutely nobody. I mean, he knew Noble. So he kind of had that going for him, but like we just kind of all had to like link up super fast, and it happened super fast. So like it was interesting how that happened. Even though we're all competing to try to play varsity, like only a handful of the freshmen were selected, but like everybody was still super cool.
But that's part of the love of football, right? I mean, and like I said, when we were talking to him, like if you really love the game, like it'll pull you back, because there is that, the brotherhood, the life lessons in it, and all of that you feel connected to these guys on a deeper level than just like running into somebody in the hallway every day at high school.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome. And that was a great interview. Again, guys, Soul Apparel, at Soul Apparel 1 on Instagram. Go check him out. Again, his next drop, like he said, is going to be on the 15th,
Yep,
right?
the 15th.
All right. So we'll have to check that out. We'll put his website and the link to his Instagram in the show notes. So check there. So appreciate Rob for having him on the show.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to cop some of those shirts, man.
Oh yeah, I definitely plan on it
for sure. Even that hat, like I would rock that shit. So awesome.
Get a 49ers one with the punch with soul on it.
Right. All right. So with the I did it again. All right. So it's like my arch nemesis.
That's just your thing.
That's my kryptonite.
That's just your
bro.
thing.
It's
not a bad
I don't
thing.
like it. No, there's certain things you eliminate. That's one of them. So I don't like that. But anyways. All right. Jumping into our word of the week.
We very slightly touched on it with that last question.
We did. We did. What's our word of the week, man?
It's growth. And growth to me. Or do you want to answer first?
No, what's growth to you?
I think it's kind of like the path or the journey that you go on to get like to where you're going, or to where you're at even, which is like kind of like, oh, that's not very much. Like it's not very detailed, but like that could be a lot. Like I'm 22 years old, haven't like lived yet, you know, but I feel like I have done so much already, just because like the amount of growth that I did when I was younger, like especially these last couple of years, like I kind of had to grow up fast, obviously, like some early life stuff. And then I was the oldest of 5, so like that'll help me grow, you know, as a person. And like,
well, you're counted on, especially as the oldest, for a lot of things. So yeah, I'll definitely do it.
And then just like, since I've been like on my own, living by myself, like obviously like I have no doubt I can still count on you guys, but like there's just that sense of like I'm on my own now, you know, like I have to count on myself, and like that really shapes people who they are, and like the way you grow really shapes who you are, I think. Like obviously like you can grow negatively, like you can turn into a really spiteful person, or you can grow the opposite way and become this beautiful person that's full of life. And I don't know, I think it can go both ways, but
no, definitely. I mean, growth is, to me, growth occurs, right?
oh yeah,
Like the way that you explained it, I don't think I like have anything to add on that aspect of it, because you nailed it pretty well. But like the other side of growth, like the more like defined, I guess, in terms of how like I'm gonna approach this today is gonna be like, for example, you were the same age that I was when I actually started dating your mom and met you guys.
yeah,
I can tell you there's a whole hell of a lot of growth that happened between then and now. There are things that I like refuse to do, or refuse to take, going back to, you know, last week's word of the week, accountable for. Like I wouldn't hold myself accountable for certain things. And you know, with that came growth, and now I can probably say that, you know, this is the version of me that I think that if I had known better, I could have probably been by the time I was like 28. Definitely not 22, but I could have been this person at 28 instead of waiting a long time. But growth is one of those things that I think kind of just has to happen. Certain situations will, you know, speed it up, slow it down. But I mean, you know, it's growth to me. One of the biggest aspects of it is learning lessons, right? Because you grow from those, and like your mindset changes, your accountability level, like going up back to like a lot of our words of the week so far, like a lot of that changes and vastly grows with life as it happens to you, know? So yeah, that's my take on growth and like what it means. I guess, you know, question I have for you in terms of our word of the week is, you know, so obviously, you know, you guys were talking about playing ball and all that and hanging up cleats and moving on to the next chapter and all that. Where do you feel like the biggest piece of growth happened for you? Kind of like the same question you asked Rob. Where do you feel like, you know, in your life so far? Because obviously, you know, like you talked about, you were playing ball, you were going to transfer schools, COVID hit, all this, like you got a job, but like life just happened, right? Where do you think the biggest growth for you happened?
I guess I kind of already touched on it a little bit in previous episodes, but probably this last year as a whole, just because like there's a lot of ups and downs. Like I worked some really shitty jobs, just trying to like make it by, and like yeah, I could work a job and make decent money, move up in the company and make good money, but like I still have to work the same schedule every day for the next 40 years or even longer probably. And that's just not something I want to do. Like like that's some people's goals and ambitions, but like once I realized that like I fucking hate working for somebody else. Like granted, right now my new job is pretty cool. A lot of it's like I'm on my own, and my boss isn't an ass. He's a cool guy, and so like it makes working a lot better. But like a lot of jobs these days just don't. Like nobody wants to work, which makes like obviously like managers and companies like frustrated. So like, but like they're not gonna take it easy on the coat like the employees. Like they just don't care, which is sad. But I don't know. A lot of people get taken granted of, if that's the right way to put that.
Get taken for granted.
English is not my strong suit, or grammar, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, definitely this last year. Like after I realized I don't like working for people, and that the only way to not do that is I need to figure out a way that I can work for myself, or like be independent and be like an entrepreneur. And like I tried like looking up little things I could do, and like I was like how to make money, blah 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 at 21, 20, and like just a bunch of shit that you can find on the internet. But like I was like, you know what, like what do I want to do? You know, like, so then I finally realized that like my passion still lies like with coaching, with sports, like, and that kind of helped me dive into like what I'm doing now, which is the personal training. So, and like, obviously there's a lot to learn with it, and like that shit's not going to be easy. Like it's still going to be work, but I'm going to enjoy it a lot more than working for somebody else, you know, like, and that shit's all on me. It's like, if I have a bad day at work, that's my fucking fault, you know, like it's not my boss's fault that pissed me off.
But that's the thing, is that going back to like what we were talking about towards the end, you know, with our interview, like doing what you love, you know, and chasing that passion. And that kind of goes along with like, so, you know, if I were to say what the biggest growth for me, and not even like, I think just overall, like it's learning to take calculated risks, right? So like, for example, you doing personal training, it's a calculated risk because you believe in yourself. Because it's, yeah, you can get a personal training gig at a, you know, like an LA Fitness where they pay you hourly or whatnot. I'm pretty sure they get paid hourly. Or you could try and go and build your own client book, which is, I'm thinking, the route that you're probably going to go. But it's a risk, right? Because just like when I got into real estate, like it was a huge risk to leave a 40-hour-a-week, you know, job where I got a paycheck every 2 weeks and, you know, all that. But I mean, risk versus reward, right? And I mean, there's a Jim Rohn quote that, and I'll butcher the fuck out of it, but, you know, life is risky, you know, and if you don't take any risks, you know, you're not going to get anywhere. But the point is that life is risky, and, you know, you won't get out alive anyways.
Yep.
So why not take the risk? That's always, it's, you know, risk is one of those things that comes with growth. Like when you're younger, you're afraid, especially because you don't know. Like, it's that whole fucking baby deer, baby horse. Like, you don't know how to get the fuck your footing underneath you is one of those things. You know, why do you go yawning again?
Fuck, I don't know, man.
We're going to change the name of the podcast, guys, to Angel Yawns and Dad Talks.
Maybe you just bore me, man. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm boring. Well, guys, that's it. It's been great being your host. I'm going to let Angel take over.
No, I was going to say that, like the whole like baby deer type shit, like I'm stuck sometimes between like, fuck, you know, I need to save money. I want to do this, and this later. But then I'm like, I could die tomorrow. So like, why not do this today? Like, I always get stuck in that kind of mind. Not exactly like that, you know, I'm not going to.
No, yeah,
you know what I
totally
mean.
get that. And that's the hard part, man, because so retrospect is a motherfucker. You know, hindsight's 20/20, all that. More elegant way to say it. The problem therein lies is the fact is like, dude, I had a shit ton of fun when I was in my 20s, like, especially like 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
All I did was hang out and go out and party and all this shit. And I always thought, you know, well, you know, what if there's no tomorrow? And now I'm like,
Yeah.
There was a tomorrow, and this guy paid for it. That guy got to have a lot of fun at the time, and this guy paid for it. What's that?
So, like, obviously, like, you know a lot more than I do. Like, what do you think? Because, like, where I'm at right now is, like, I just don't feel like I could grow much more than I am right now until I accomplish what I'm already doing. Like, what do you think is the next step in my growth? Like, where do you see?
Quit lying to yourself.
What do you mean?
The statement you just made. You don't see how you could grow much more. That's a limiting belief.
I know,
So-
but, like, I'm just doing all this shit, and, like, I just don't have time for anything else. Like, I don't think I should improve anything else. Like, obviously there's a lot to improve on, but, like,
Well,
I just don't see much more growth that could happen in the next 6 months. Like, much. Like, obviously, like,
there always is.
I'm going to be
There
growing in
always
the
is.
gym. Like, hopefully, obviously. I don't get hurt or something, but
Become a master of your craft. You know, we were talking about how the last episode about the 100%, you did the math geek thing where you're like, you know, you can either be a master of one or a jack of all trades.
yeah, we'd rather,
What is it?
it's better to be a master of one than a jack of all trades.
Yes, I'm bad. I paraphrased a lot of quotes, but thank you. Angel saved the day right there. See, here's the thing. First off, your statement to begin with is a limiting belief. You can always do more. It's just depending on how you schedule things. Most people don't realize, and this is the thing, I'm guilty of it. There's times where I'll be working and something will ping on my phone. And then because it's natural habit, I'll start scrolling through something. And like, it can be Instagram, it could be Facebook, whatever. I'll come on and like check the numbers for the podcast just because it's become part of the habit now. But it's all a distraction, right? So yeah, I mean, like in terms of doing more, it's really like in the distractions, it's scheduling and sticking to a schedule, right? So like obviously right now, until you're doing the personal training full time and all of that, like you have your certification, you work a job and you go to work for 8 hours, right? Well, those 8 hours, and here's one of the things that, those 8 hours can be utilized just for work, as they should for most jobs, right? Stay focused on the task at hand. But like if you get a half-hour lunch while you're eating, do something else. Like when I was working, so before I got my real estate license, when I was at the hospital, I had my lunch hour. We worked 12-hour shifts, and I would study during my lunch hour.
Yeah.
And like I'd eat while I do it, but I studied I didn't give myself a break because I was chasing something more, and realistically, here's the thing. If you feel like you're overwhelmed, like you have too much going on already, trim the fat. It can be anything from playing games. It can be watching a show, but it can be something as simple as like hanging out with friends sometimes, like knowing when to say no, like be anything, man. Like it just depends.
Yeah.
But adjusting your time and your schedule, that's where I have a serious goal and I have about 1 year and 2 months to complete it. And I have a lot of pressure on.
Yeah.
And I have my business that I'm trying to build bigger. I have this podcast that we're doing, and I'm trying to build this bigger. And I have other side projects that I have going on that, I really want to have work for me. So it's just not having limited beliefs, and don't lie to yourself. You can always do more. And I jam more into my day because I want to do it.
Yeah.
But it's all about choices.
See, I'm not worried about time really, because I'm not the best at managing my time really, and I definitely do need to trim some of the fat, like you said, but like I'm not worried about that. I think it's just more of like I just don't picture myself being able to do anymore. Like I don't know what else I could work on.
But I hope that answers that question. Yeah. Fuck, I talk too much. All right, so you strike again. In terms of our topic today, so the name of the podcast, like we said, we haven't really addressed it. I mean, protein shakes, Clearly, we both drink protein shakes. I mean,
I think you drink more than I do.
I drink one a day, right after my workout.
I think I drink like maybe 2 or 3 a week.
Really?
Once I started counting my calories, and I'm like, I really don't need to put a protein shake in my day because I eat so much protein already. Like, I just didn't do it. But like I definitely utilize it because it's just quick and easy.
So obviously protein shakes, kind of self-explanatory and just kind of plays on the fitness part of our podcast. But big stakes. So, I mean, realistically, you think big stakes in terms of gambling, shooting craps, fucking, blackjack, all that.
Or a big ribeye.
Or a big ribeye. Yeah, if you
It's
spell
not
it the
that
wrong
kind
way.
of steaks, though.
Did you say steak? No, I mean, big stakes. Life's a game of stakes. Big fucking stakes. One step left, one step right. Who knows where the fuck you are?
Nothing is set in stone. Like, one thing can change something you think is so concrete in your life. Like a relationship. Like, you could have your best friend in the world, and one thing can fuck all that up. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, yeah, I know.
oh, yeah, I know you know.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing is that, it's funny that you said that. Life's always evolving, always changing, and everything in life is a gamble. So from your job choice, your partner choice, whether you choose to have kids or not, how you raise your kids, how you do, like, and that's one of the funny things where, like, and you'd have had this discussion, like, before you marry somebody, you should talk about every single fucking thing that you can think of. Like, there's literally lists out there to go over each question before you decide whether somebody you want to marry. There are things like how you're going to raise your kids. Like, you're raising people.
Yeah.
And if you don't align with your partner on, views on how to raise them, like, that can spell trouble, like big trouble. And not only just trouble between you and your partner, but you and the kids, and the kids in general, from job choices. I mean, look, you just went from one job to the other because one was making you miserable and you took a gamble and, hey, big stakes, like your paychecks are at stake, your fucking, like your livelihood's at stake, and you went to a new job and you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
And
I'm making more. Like, I wasn't even worried about that. I was like, they can pay me minimum wage if they want. I'm just getting the hell out of there.
If you think about big stakes in life, like the 50-50 rule that I live by. So 50-50 rule for me, and I mean, there's a lot of facets to it, but you can die at any point. Your husband or wife can leave you or cheat on you, and you'll never see it coming. Most times you'll never see it coming. Your best friend can suddenly decide that they want nothing to do with you anymore. Like you decide, like key figures in your life just fucking vanish. It's life is always that interesting gamble of what choices do you make? Where do you go from here? That's the big stakes of life, So
I like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, like, I haven't gone through much big stakes yet. I mean, I moved away from my family. So I still have a lot to learn about that, but...
Yeah, you just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. You went to Minnesota. That was a big one. You could have chosen to go to any school that was closer or just stayed here in, Arizona for school.
We went to NAU.
You made a big decision to come back.
Yeah.
Like, you don't realize it yet because you're still in it. And most of the time, like, for example, and I'm going to give a big shout out to your mom, my wife, for putting up with me for 15 years. Because yesterday was our 15-year anniversary of getting together, which you actually gave us permission and asked me to be your mom's boyfriend. But 15 years have gone by, and I always laugh because I tell her that So we met at work, and the day that work started, I was like, man, I went from being a bouncer, going to the army, I came back, all this shit happened in between. And then I decided, okay, well, I need a job. I need a normal life. I don't want to be a bouncer anymore. I don't want to be around, strippers and all the bullshit and like loud music and fucking fights and, getting stabbed again. Like, I don't want to do that shit. So I applied for a regular ass job at a call center. If I had done what I thought I was going to do that morning and not gone, I would have never met your mom. And I was pretty close to not going because I was like, a call center? Is that really what I want to do? And I was like, yeah, fuck it. All right, let's go. And there she was walking up the steps. Game over. My ticket was punched, man. So every decision that we don't know how monumental it can be huge, and it can leave a lasting effect. Like, I mean, think about it. That day that I made the decision to go, I didn't just affect you, or I should say, I didn't just affect me. I didn't just affect your mom. I affected you, your brothers, and then created a whole new life, and your sister. So one little decision that might have seemed really minute in the minute turned out to be fucking huge. So you don't see it while you're in it. That's the fun part. It's always after, man. Always after. I love my wife. She has put up with me for 15 years, and I could not be more happy than that. Because, like I said, she met me when I was your age. And I was still a kid, man. Like, granted, I'd gone through a lot of shit, and I'd been through a lot, and, like, lived through a lot, and, like, had a whole, like, fucking 4 lifetimes between, coming out of high school and meeting your mom. But, like, I was still 22, so.
That's how I know you were way different than me. Is even if she was super hot, if I met her mom, she had a 7-year-old and, like, 4-year-old and the baby, like a newborn, I've been like, nope.
Well, a couple things. You were 7, yes. Your brother was 4, and your other brother, Adrian, was 1. So it was you, Adrian at the time that she had. And your mom is super hot. So, yeah, I took the lead. Hey, I'm just speaking truths here. In terms of big stakes, that's where the name comes from. I know there's a couple people that probably wonder why the name, because we're not gamblers.
Yeah.
And clearly we're talking about gambling. We're 10 episodes deep, and not once have we talked about shooting craps or fucking any of that shit. Yeah, so that's big stakes.
I like it.
Well, now that we got that curiosity out of the way, Angels Angles. What do you got for us today, man?
All right, so it's I kind of been seeing this thing on social media lately, like, and
what can I do to lose the fat in my belly?
It's like, and if you know anything about nutrition and health and, like, anything of that nature, you would know, or maybe you don't, but this will help you out, that you can't spot reduce fat. Like, you can't just lose fat in your belly or your legs or your butt or your boobs or, like, your face. Like, you just cannot do that. Like, the most efficient way to lose the fat is be in a calorie deficit. Like, eat less food, or, like, eat less calories, or, like, if, like what we talked about the other episode, you might not be eating enough, so, like, you're not losing weight like you should be. There's little things, like when people are like, do this to drop your midsection down, or, like, lose the side belly, or, like, your leg fat. Like, you can do all these leg exercises and, like, look more muscular, but you're still gonna have that layer of fat there.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that, like, and that's where, not even coming from, like, a fitness, I just work out. Let's put it that way. I'm just a regular guy that lifts a lot of heavy shit. So it's not like I have, like, this deep knowledge. You definitely are more knowledgeable than I am on this. But let's do the simple math, right? You lift heavy weight. Like if I do nothing but work out my chest and do so at intervals that allow my chest to recover, my chest is going to grow at a rate that, you know, is higher than any other muscle. But at the same time, I will have fat loss simply because my body is burning calories, but it's not necessarily going to lose fat in my chest.
I guess I really want to talk about this today because, like, I'll just be on like Instagram, kind of like looking up ideas, or like on Twitter or whatever. And I see these guys that are like in good shape, and they're like, do this to lose your belly fat or your midsection fat or fat. And they like start doing like or Russian twists and like a bunch of ab workout. And I'm like, if I didn't know what I was talking about, that makes complete sense to me. You know, like, oh, okay, if I want to lose belly fat, do stomach exercises, core exercises. It's just so misleading, and like, it's not like a bad thing. Like, obviously, like if you do that stuff all the time, you're gonna burn calories and you're gonna lose weight. So eventually it'll work, but you're gonna lose weight all around. You're not just gonna lose weight in your midsection. Like, so like, I'm not sitting there doing Russian twists or anything to try to lose my belly fat. Like, I'm just trying to eat better and just work out more. Like, I've been doing more cardio recently. I'm not fucking going for a summer bod or anything, but like, I'm trying to lose some weight. Like,
Yeah.
March 1st was 3 months away from like summer starts, even though it feels like summer out there already.
Yeah, it does. Well, you know, summertime in Tucson, Arizona is an adventure. You shouldn't touch your steering wheel, like especially June or July. Learn how to drive with your knees. Just kidding. Don't drive with your knees. It's not safe.
Yeah,
Wear gloves.
Teach these people, man.
Going back to the spot fat, like, you know, a lot of things on Instagram and TikTok and all that are done for likes and views and follows. And I think that's one of the things that like I find hilarious is that people don't understand that the information that they're getting just because it's on social media, like a guy can have a six pack and tell you that, you know, if you do the Russian twist, you're going to get a six pack like him. Well, he's fucking lying to you. I mean, granted, if you eat like him, run like him, anything that he does, I mean, like abs for the most part aren't even built in the gym. They're built in the kitchen.
My favorite core exercise is beltless squats. Fucking like, I'll be up there and I'm just like with 400 pounds. I'm just like, holy fuck, like my belt, where's it at?
All right, that was Angel's Ankles for today.
Yeah, don't spot reduce fat.
Don't do it. It doesn't
work.
exist. It's not real. All right, Q&A, guys.
You have the questions.
I do have the questions. Okay. First question. What made you guys decide to do a podcast? From Jackson.
Okay. So this is like what we do right here is pretty much what we do all the time. Like we just always, I don't know, talk shit and chop it up. Like this is literally what we do. And then one day, it was your idea, right? You're just like, why don't we just do a podcast? And I was like, fuck yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
It sounded like a blast. Like I'm sitting there listening to other podcasts and I'm like, dude, our conversations could be a podcast.
Yeah,
like,
right?
Yeah, and I mean, some people are going to find it, you know, useful, helpful information, like, like just keeping up with stuff like sports. You know,
and that's why we also always go off on different tangents, because that's what we also always do.
That's just part of the natural flow.
Yeah.
It's so funny. We talk about it afterwards and we're like, well, we were supposed to stick on this topic, but we went like 3 lanes to the left. But that's just how our conversations go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why we decided to do the podcast. All right. I don't know why I read this the way I did, so I'm going to read it the way I read it the first time and then how it actually is. So I read the second question, best exercise for growing your chest hair. I don't even know where hair came from. But the real question is from Gabe, best exercise for growing your chest.
What do you think is the best exercise to grow your chest? Because there's some like misconceptions about this.
I think it really depends on where. Because, like, I mean, for example, like
The upper chest.
and
So the upper chest, when you're working like for bodybuilding purposes, if you're going to grow your chest, you want to start with the upper chest because that's the
but
biggest
like, so I feel like flies, right? Like the fly machine,
pec deck.
like spec deck. That one, I feel like it doesn't necessarily grow girth here, and I could be wrong. But this again coming from somebody who's not expert or like approaching that. So I feel like the pec deck doesn't work necessarily to grow growth in the center of your pecs, but more on the inside where you get that pretty little line in between your boobs. You know, the man cleavage.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that does that versus like where dumbbell, like either flat dumbbell or like incline dumbbell, does more of the like building mass, and that's just my opinion.
Yeah, obviously, like I have no clue what the best exercise to grow your chest is because that requires a lot of like different studies and control groups and all this shit.
But I mean, I guess wouldn't the answer to that question really be then? It depends on your routine. And it depends on what
yes and
exercises
no.
you're doing.
I will say that bench press, like barbell bench press, is not the best way to grow your chest. Especially if you just go like, that's gonna work like, I don't know, muscle endurance, things like that. Like if you do pause reps all the time with like a wider grip on the bench, like I go wider anyway, but like in high school, we would have to bench like this close together, and like that's just not normal for my wider shoulder. So I go a little out so that I have room to let my chest stretch, so I can get the full range of motion. I pause and then I press it. And that I feel more growth there, but I think the most growth when I feel like when I'm hitting like the exercise that gets me the most sore, I guess, is probably like a slight incline dumbbell bench.
Mm-hmm. Well, plus I like the isolation.
Yeah.
Like to isolate each side, because like bench press is a compound lift that uses multiple muscles, you know. And I can say that like I don't really ever feel like when I did used to bench, which is funny because I always get asked, "What's your bench max, bro?" I'm like, I don't fucking know, man. Like I lift those heavy ass things over there, but I don't mess with the bench bar. Like,
well, we
I don't
benched the
know.
other day, remember? And you put 225 on, and that shit was easy.
Yeah,
But you're not
I'm
going to
sure
try to go ahead.
I'm sure I can bench a lot, but I don't care. Like I don't know. For me, there's no like I don't care about PRs. I'm sure at some point I will, but like my whole goal is to get in phenomenal shape. So maybe I'll get there. But yeah, best chest exercise is I think dumbbell. Like I said, incline. I also like incline.
Not like
That's
complete, like
yeah.
45. Oh, it's over here. I was like, it's more like that, like just slight.
Yeah.
Like that's what I like a lot. I do those, so it works my upper chest, and then I go do dips. So you're working your shoulder and then your lower chest.
All right. Question number 3. If you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be and why? From Corey. All right, you go first.
Question with this before. I think we've had a similar question with this before.
I think
Because you said Gary Vee.
I think that one was
Conversation with.
who's been like your biggest inspiration
right,
or
okay.
like the 3. Yeah. So if you could have dinner with any 3 people that are alive, who would it be and why? Shoot.
I think I would do Eric Thomas, just because like he's like one of my favorite motivational speakers, and I feel like he would shoot it straight. He wouldn't bullshit me. Maybe Gary Vee too. He would do the same thing, but I don't know if he's like more my style. Probably Patrick Willis and I don't know.
That's a pretty good table to
Oh,
sit at.
Martins Licis, man. He's my favorite He's the world's strongest man, 2018 or 19. He hasn't competed since just because he's been dealing with injuries, but he's coming back this year. He won the Arnold Strongman Classic. He's fucking. He's like peak male performance, dude.
You're gonna have to send me his shit because I haven't
My
heard of that
favorite,
one.
dude.
Yeah. Nice.
I'm a big Eddie Hall fan, but like Martinez Lease is my favorite strongman.
So, what's the question you would ask each of them? Like, if you got like one solid question.
Eric Thomas, I don't have one question for him. I would fucking tell him my life story and then tell him to call me a bitch or something. Tell him to give it to me straight. Martinez Leases, I would just ask him like, dude, like, you got to tell me your ways. Like,
Show me.
Why are you so strong? He's got like long hair like mine, not like super long, but like it's curly. He fucking got the dad bod because he's a strong man, so you got to have the power belly.
Yeah.
Either him or Robert Oberst, dude. Robert Oberst's head is huge, but like he has his own line. It's called Strong and Pretty.
I like that.
Right,
Strong
right.
pretty.
I don't know. I don't know what I would ask any of them. Patrick Willis, I can't just think of one, dude. I would pick his
How
brain.
does it feel to be a legend? Like, in
Why
terms
the
of football?
fuck did you retire so early?
Right. I know. God damn. That would hurt when he retired.
No.
That pissed me off.
Frank Gore did, huh?
No, he retired. So that's one thing we didn't touch on when we talked about football earlier with Rob.
You think he'll
Yeah.
unretire, try to get to the Niners if they go back to the Super Bowl?
No, he's going to retire with the Niners. Going to do the whole one-day contract thing. But he wants to be brought into the front office. So
That'd be awesome.
either way, I think he'll end up getting a ring, just not on the field, which sucks because, dude, that guy's badass. Yeah. In terms of the question for me, I think the three people that I would have dinner with, I think Gary Vee, because he inspired so much of what I do on my marketing in real estate and for the podcast. That would be a for sure, Gary Vee. I think the next one would probably be. This is a hard question when you like start to think about it, because like when you were talking, I was thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, and then I'm like, no, I don't know. Definitely Gary Vee, and then I think I don't know who the second one would be. I know who my third would be. That's interesting.
Just make the third your second.
No, because the third would be my grandmother. Like, well, she died. No, but like we talked about that with Rob, but like. That's why she'd be my third, because she's like the most important key one that I would like. If you told me I could not have dinner with anybody else except for the third choice, it would be her. I think just because he's so fucking ambitious, and like we've talked about him before on the podcast. The Rock would be my second. I think just to like, I want to ask that motherfucker, what drives you?
That's a good way to put it. Remember how we talked about if he was a sellout? Maybe he's not a sellout. He's just really ambitious.
Well, dude, I mean, he gave a speech to the Lakers once in their locker room, or not their locker room, their meeting room, where they go over film and all that. And he talks about, people asking him, well, you're doing all this shit, like you're doing all these movies. And, he just tells them, yeah, I could do it. I can do it. Why not? Like, I think he just wants to go down in history. Like, I think The Rock would have made, like, going back to like the Egyptian show that Mom and I watched, I think he would have made an amazing pharaoh, because he would have built the biggest fucking statues and pyramids and all that shit, because he would have wanted nobody to forget who the fuck he was.
He's a Scorpion King, man.
I know. That's funny. I forgot that he was in that movie right now. But yeah, so him, and then my grandmother, just so I could tell her, I'm not a fuck up and I didn't fail. Yeah. That.
Sweet.
Yeah. Question number 4. What's your biggest fear?
Oh, shit. We haven't talked about this one yet?
No, I don't think we even talked about this one.
I have no idea. I don't think I'm afraid of anything.
Well, I mean...
Well, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to say failure, because I fucking look forward to that now. But... I think my biggest failure is just not trying. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to miss out on anything that I have the opportunity for.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to look back and see that. I don't like regretting things. I don't think that I so far have any regrets, but I don't want to look back and be like, fuck, I wish I did that. That scares me.
I'll give you a secret. It's going to happen no matter what.
But
it's that whole FOMO, man. Fear of missing out. Like, I totally get it, but it's going to happen anyways. Like I said, I had a lot of fun when I was in, 18, 19, 20. And a lot of that was driven by the fact of like, what if I die tomorrow? And now I think about it and I'm like, I didn't die tomorrow. And now I'm, 10 or 20 steps behind where I wanted to be in this situation. Like,
yeah.
So no matter what, you're going to be like, I should have done this. I would have, could have. The what if question is always the one that fucks with people the most.
What do you?
And that kind of ties into what like my biggest fear is living a life of what if, because there's already enough what ifs in my life. And I mean, what if I would have, gone back into the army, or what if I had dedicated myself more to school and football instead of the girlfriend I had at the time, but it's kind of that whole, it goes into the whole multiverse theory, right? Like fucking, if I had no, I mean, really, like, what if there's a version of me that, did go and like played college football and all this instead of like having to get kicked out and like had a dad, became a dad real young and all this shit. Like, and the what if is the killer because the what if nags at you if you let it. So my biggest fear is having too many what ifs on my ledger, and dying with a lot of regret. I can tell you right now, at this point, there's not a whole lot I regret. There's choices that I think I should have thought of better, but yeah, regret.
We're kind of along the same lines there, a little bit.
Yeah, just different ways to say it, I think. So that's all our questions.
Yeah.
So, where can they reach you?
On Instagram at Angel Big Legs Desmo. Message me with any questions you may have with health and fitness. If you guys are looking to work out with me or just come in for a day pass, maybe sign up at the gym, hit me up. I'll get you going with Be Strong Powerhouse.
All right, guys, if you have any questions about the real estate market, obviously I don't talk about real estate every episode because I talk about real estate all day. But if you guys have any questions about the real estate market, how it is, what's going on with it, whether you should sell your house, I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm going to answer that question right here, right now. If you are able to sell your house and you're going to take in a good profit on it, you should probably seriously think about doing so. The market's crazy hot for sellers, and even though interest rates have gone up, people are still out buying in droves. So sell your house. Let me help you sell it, and I'd be happy to do so. With all that being said, you can reach me at Realtor520 Raul on Instagram, everywhere, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. So reach out, and I'm looking forward to episode 11. I can't believe we just recorded episode 10.
Yeah.
Wow. So episode 11. And guys, if you have suggestions for the show, send them our way. I'd be curious to know what people want to hear about. Because we can talk about shit all day. What do you guys want to hear about? Let us know. All right. Yeah, have a great morning, noon, or night, wherever, whatever, whenever you're listening. All right, guys. As always, catch you next time, and sign off.